Hey, everybody. Pastor Jared here with this week's Teaching Tuesday at Ridge United Methodist Church. Every Tuesday during the lunch hour, I upload these short 10 to 15-minute videos to give you something to chew on or maybe something to think about as you go about your day and even the rest of your week. Hopefully, it'll even give you, I don't know, teach you something about the Christian faith or about your own spiritual journey. Well, today I want to talk to you about a couple things. First of all, I want to tell you about one of my favorite stories in the Bible. And then I want to talk about how that story is going to be applied to our church in the coming year here at Ridge United Methodist. So the story is from the Old Testament or the Hebrew Scriptures, and it's from the book of Esther, Queen Esther. I love the story of Esther for lots of reasons. One is that it's another story of many in the Bible about strong women and good leadership principles and the ways that God is at work in this world, even when we don't see God. In fact, the book of Esther is the only book, I believe, in the entire Bible that does not expressly mention God by name. It's so odd that this book is included in the canon of scriptures in our Holy Bible. But there have been enough people over the years who have said, no, 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 God is active in this story and present, even though God is not named explicitly. So this is one that we want to include to learn about who God is and who we are as God's people. Well, Esther is taken into the king's court. She is a Jew. She's an Israelite, but she is taken into the king's court and made a queen. But she learns in her position that one of the king's wise men or advisors is encouraging him to exterminate the Jewish people in the country. Now, Esther is in a unique position that she has potentially a voice of influence in whether or not this will take place. Her uncle comes to her and says, "Who knows? But for such a time as this, that you are in your position to impact the world." I wonder, even as I'm sharing, if this story is coming to mind because Sarah talked about it this past week during our children's Sunday school hour. Maybe you watched her talk about it and heard some more of the details. Well, Queen Esther's uncle says, "Who knows? But for such a time as this, you are placed in this position to make an impact, to make a positive change, to influence this kingdom and this world toward the reign of God." But it's that little line, "for such a time as this," that I find so compelling. I think about such a time as this, a time that we are still, I just got an email today. We are 8 months into the COVID pandemic, and we are still in the wake of the election season that is not going that is not going well, and our country continues to see increases and rises even in our local community of hospitalizations and COVID, family members, friends, coworkers, community members. Such a time as this is a strange one. Well, the scriptures are full of people who, in difficult times, were used by God to bless the world, to change lives, to make an impact. As I was thinking about Queen Esther, I stumbled upon a quote by Winston Churchill. He has so many of these. My goodness, this guy would have been a great sports coach. I can just imagine his fiery halftime speeches. But Winston Churchill said one time that kites rise the highest when they're going up against the wind, not when they're going with it. And so here we are finding ourselves in a unique time in our country, in our world, and yes, even in our church, of facing some headwinds. What an opportunity we have to either rise with them or, and I love flying kites. I have a couple trick kites. Sometimes when the wind's really going, boy, it can send that kite smashing to the ground. So here's where we are, an opportunity to fly high or maybe to smash into the ground. So this has me thinking more and more about our congregation at such a time as this. I love Ridge, and I've been here not quite a year and a half, but in my time that we've been here, we faced a lot of battles together already. But we also are discovering more and more the ways that God has uniquely placed us and equipped us to do Jesus' ministry at such a time as this. One of the things I love most about our congregation is that you all come from different communities and even different states. We who are on the border of Indiana and Illinois have folks from Lansing come over and worship regularly, attend Bible studies, even come later this afternoon to Rich's music hour from 1 to 2. We have people who live just down the street, and we have people who live south in the county. We have folks who are north up in Hammond, people east in Highland and Griffith. We have a number of people from our congregation who live not in Munster proper, but rather in the communities and states around us. We are a church that is a bridge builder between communities, between people. And I'm excited to think about the ways that God might be inviting us to do even more bridge building in the season to come. So that's what this video is pointing us toward. In this afternoon, you will be receiving an email about a Compass team, or our church's visioning team, that will be kicking off in February of 2021. In fact, you'll be getting a full-blown letter describing that team, as well as on the back an opportunity to nominate either yourself or someone else that you think would be good to be considered as part of this team. I would love for you to prayerfully reflect and think about those spiritual leaders in our church, those people who have a heart and a passion both for Ridge UMC as well as for our surrounding communities. I want you to be prayerfully thinking about those persons who are eager and leaning in toward helping make strategic and adaptive changes as we seek to navigate not just the year ahead, but also the years ahead, to be a church community that is passionate and fruitful in producing more and more disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. Be looking out for that letter early this afternoon. And if you have any questions about it or would like further information, please let me know. But I would like to have these nominations received no later than Tuesday, December 1st. That will give us a chance to reach out to those persons who've been nominated in December and begin to have that team formed so that we can kick off in February of 2021. Who knows? But for such a time as this, we have been placed and gathered in this location, in this time, with one another to make a kingdom impact in our lives and in the lives of those around us. Folks, I am excited and looking forward to the ways that God will continue to lead and shape us. And I pray that you think not only about the ways that God is positioning our church, but also the ways that God is positioning you to be a kingdom impact in your family, in your home, and in the community, the workplaces, those spheres that you have opportunity to influence. Who knows? But for such a time as this, you are called to be God's hands and feet, God's voice, God's inspiration, God's bringer of hope to people in your lives. What an opportunity we have to take the eyes off of ourselves, our own frustrations, our own concerns, our own fears, our own disappointments, and instead to redirect them onto those of others so that we can bless them. In Jesus' name, and it is in His name that I send you forth. God bless you, that you may be a blessing to others. Until next week, it's been This Week at Ridge and this week's Teaching Tuesday.